Well, good evening, everybody. This is Wendy Hernandez with Command the Courtroom, and I'm so happy to have you here. Before we start off and before I introduce my really special guest, I'm going to give the normal disclaimer, which is that this live stream is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice. I'm an attorney in Arizona. I'm not licensed in any other state. So if you are in a different state than Arizona, or even if you are in Arizona, you should consult with an attorney to get the laws surrounding your jurisdiction, because the laws do matter, the rules do matter. What else do I have to say? So this is not legal advice. Check the rules and statutes in your jurisdiction. When you're on this live stream, remember to be respectful, but also remember that your ex may also be on the live stream, but not be saying that they're on the chat. So don't say anything or do anything that could compromise your case and end up in court. So I want to welcome this man who's so near and dear to my heart. I've known Jose. We were talking about it offline, and we think it's 4 years that we know each other. And I launched this Command the Courtroom thing. It was 4 or 5 years ago. And I did a little launch, and Jose and one other person, Rory, who's also near and dear to my heart, and he's from Colorado. They are the two first students that I had as a Command the Courtroom teacher. And they trusted me, and we spent how many weeks together? Was it 6 weeks together, Jose?
It was about 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 weeks together. And I was teaching them. And then actually, I think we had a couple of weeks of just clarifying and question and answer. And we've kept in touch all these years. Jose always reaches out to me. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about his journey. And I wanted to have Jose on here because he's not a lawyer. He's a real person, just like you. He had success in his case, and I just want him to inspire you because he's really an inspirational person. He's a great dad and a great human. So welcome, Jose. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Wendy.
So, Jose, first of all, you're in Florida. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so it's kind of late there. It's like 6:30 at night there, right? Or 9:30?
9:30 now, yeah.
Okay, so thank you. So thank you so much for being on. I know it's late and you have a family. So before we kind of launch into it, I just want to say hi to a few of the people on the stream. So there's JJ is here from Florida. So JJ may be interested in what Mr. Jose has to say. And she says, thank you. I'm watching a live again. Tenacious, hello. I'm always happy. She's a great help. Rosanna D, good to see you. Hi, Brandon and Linda Marie and Raul. I'm always happy to see you, Raul. Always shows up. And Shay, hi, it's good to see you. So you guys, I'm glad that you decided to join tonight. So Jose, can you tell me when your case, well, just generally, what sort of case did you have back 4 years ago when we were getting to know each other?
I had a contested paternity case in the state of Florida, actually in Orange County.
And so what were you fighting for, actually?
Basically, well, initially, really what I was just fighting is just to have the rights as a parent. And I say that from just an unbiased standpoint, just because really in my situation, I had no rights. I had no ability to, take care of my daughter, even see my daughter, unless it was, at the discretion of someone else. So really what I just wanted was just to be there for her and just be a parent, really just have the ability to be a parent for her.
How old was your daughter at the time?
She was 2 years old when I opened up the case. So my case opened up in the summer of 2015, and it didn't close until the end of 2018. So it was 3.5 years long. It was an arduous journey. It was prolonged in so many ways, and I mean, really, one of the biggest things that I started learning early on is that the decisions that can be made within a court hearing within a few minutes, because in the beginning, I'll be honest, it was very difficult to navigate. I didn't understand a lot of the terminology, the jargon, a lot of the process. what was really going on. And it's kind of it's very intimidating just walking in, and I was represented. But even then, so sometimes, it's really rough. It's really rough. In sometimes you feel that your representation doesn't truly fully understand your case. Even if you just explained it to them just a few minutes ago, they don't really understand it and all the complexities the way you would as an individual. So I was actually blessed to find you, Wendy, online. I'm not sure where I was looking at, what I was doing. I might have been on Facebook. I just Google and stuff, but I managed to find the Command the Courtroom, and I actually got inspired by a lot of your videos and a lot of your teaching, and a lot of it was like, it was free content. So one thing led me to another, and I'm just thinking, well, I have one or two options right now. I can either be a worrier and just worry and just stress myself out, or I could be a warrior and try to figure out how I can get to where I'm trying to go.
So I love that.
I started doing a little bit more research. I've done a lot of research on you actually before. I know where you went to school and everything. So now, and I just saw that because honestly, in a sense, you were like one of my heroes. I'm like, for you to tell me that, hey, I can actually be in my kid's life. Well, I'm all ears. Like, what do I have to do? And I'm not here to take anything from anybody else. I just want to be there also too, because I strongly believe that, for a child, if both parents are fit parents, why not? Why can't they both be there? So I found,
That's awesome. Thank you. You're so sweet. And so I appreciate all of that. And I love hearing that my teaching has helped people. So thank you for that, because it inspires me to keep going. So I see a few more people on the stream. I just want to say hi to Carlos Lozoya, one of my other very favorite fathers that I've had the opportunity to work with. And he's a fantastic father like Jose, Brittany Janelle, Jessica Garcia, Dan Regali. And he says that he's excited to hear this. So let's go back for a minute. So when you started your case and your daughter was 2 years old, at that point, did you have, what was your relationship with her like? Did you have a parenting schedule? Did you get regular time with her? How did that work?
So basically from the time that she was born, I didn't have a parenting schedule. The relationship that I had with her mother, it was, I was kind of naive about it, I'll be honest. And I know that's knowing what I know from before, a lot of men have that kind of mentality. They're like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm just going to go with the flow, and that was me, and really the only, I mean, I would actually watch her, but I was more of option B, like a babysitter, really. It was most of the time. So the other parent could go to work and do their errands and do their stuff and give me a call and, hey, I'm there in a heartbeat. So there really wasn't any schedule until the initial hearing, when, we got the paternity established and the judge said, hey, you're getting timeshare, but your timeshare is going to be alternating weekends with basically a few hours during the week. And I'm just like, I didn't understand that, because the other parent actually happened to be in the military. So while they were actually gone for many months at a time, when everything was like no big deal, I was the parent that was with my daughter the whole time. So when they kind of told me that, I was like, well, I'm not understanding, how this is all working. But long story short, that's kind of how it ended up. And, I just try to always make the most of it. And I'm sorry, I lost track of the question.
No, that's okay. So I wanted to know how much time that, you were getting with her. And so it sounds like you're a babysitter, but then when mom was gone, you had your little one with you all of the time. But then when you went to court, the judge said, no, you only get every other weekend and a few hours.
That is correct.
And that was okay. And that was kind of disappointing and upsetting and confusing to you, because you're thinking like, what, if I could care for her all the time while mom is gone, why not? I'm guessing you wanted half the time, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. So what did you do? What did you do on your journey, to, one, get you prepared, two, to keep your spirits up, and three, to try to build that relationship with your daughter to, you know, keep it going?
So throughout the whole 3.5 years, wow. If you look at the complexity of my case, it is crazy. My docket is just like, you can scroll on there literally for minutes. Like you can just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And in a sense, it's kind of like, it's kind of sad, realistically, because it's like, really, was this all necessary? But what I'm going to tell every single parent out there, and this is kind of what helped me, is if you have any kind of either spiritualism or faith in something, definitely, you know, definitely spend a lot of time there, because that's what's going to help keep you going. That's what helped keep me going a lot of the times. You know, I prayed to God every single day, throughout the day, various times throughout the day, just to give me knowledge, and really in the big picture, help me be the dad that my daughter needs, especially during this situation. And really just really keep it in prayer. And where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to just sound like just any other person that's going to say never give up, but you always have to be as creative as you can be to just literally find a way. Times were hard. I'll be honest. I'll be totally, completely honest. Times were really hard. There were times when I had no money for food.
Oh, wow.
Literally, like,
wow.
I couldn't pay my bills because my case was 3.5 years, and I've went through 3 attorneys, and 2 of them, unfortunately, didn't do much. They just kind of dragged it on. And when this case gets dragged on, you're looking at more money. My 3rd attorney was a tremendous blessing. She got this case to a close within 7 months. But what I can tell you, any parent, take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your brain, your mind, your body, your brain. That's very important. One of the things with me is I got kind of in a binge with like caffeine, and always wanted to read and always wanted to learn. And that's a good thing, but I wasn't supplementing my body the right way. So always try to give your body, because at the end of the day, this too yet shall pass. You got to always think of it that way. So you got to be healthy. You got to be in a position so when all this does pass, you're able to be there as a fit parent, not just emotionally, but also physically too, for your kids. So definitely, you know, take care of yourself. And that's kind of what helped me during the journey. Is I'd go a lot to the gym. Some days I would just run. I would just try to, it was hard because it's hard to kind of focus when this is on your mind a lot, and then you're just trying to think of something else. But really, the best thing you could do is if you're truly vested and you really want this to happen, and this is something you're committed to, you know, definitely put in the time, put in the work, because these court cases are going to require a lot of work. They're not going to come easy. They're definitely not going to come easy, but they're able to be won. Some of the things that I did also too, I did a lot of research on my own. I found your site. I watched every single video, and I actually ended up taking your course, and that was a tremendous blessing for me. I was able to go to law schools. I actually have 2 law schools in my area where I live, and actually that's actually where I want to go now that I've graduated with my
That's
with my
so
undergrad
awesome.
degree.
That's
So
amazing.
it's been an inspiration. I want to have that ability to inspire other people, and just really more so for the kids, because at the end of the day, you know, if the kids have a mommy and a daddy that they love, I mean, I think that's the most important thing, that they should be able to have their mommy and their daddy. Put the stuff aside from the parents.
Well, that's what I was going. One of the things I was going to ask you was, you know, a lot of people and a lot of my viewers and a lot of my clients I know have really difficult relationships with their exes or soon to be exes, you know, and a lot of the cases, you know, the exes may have personality disorders, you know, they may be abusive. And, you know, I don't know that your case was like that, but, you know, certainly I would imagine there are times when you and mom weren't getting along. So what are your thoughts in those cases where, you know, it's a difficult relationship?
I would suggest to all the parents, and this is what kind of helped me, read co-parenting books. I have one that I recommend. I forget the exact title, and she's an attorney that's also on YouTube. I have actually the book in my closet right now, But any co-parenting book that you can get, you know, because really a lot of this stuff and this is for everyone, men and women, it's going to be up here. It's all your perception, you know, and in reality, you got to look at the big picture. You got to learn to try to put stuff where it belongs. And if it, you know, and obviously now the most important aspect is your child. And one of the things that I've learned from these co-parenting books is you got to look at your child as a product of a business, because the child is a product of the environment where they're raised, regardless of how you feel with the other parent. If you want to have a successful business, if you want your business to thrive and excel to that next level where that child gets the opportunity to look back 15, 10, 20, 30 years back and say, you know what, maybe in mommy and daddy didn't work out, but you know what, they rocked it. They rocked it, and they gave me love, affection. They gave me everything I needed, and just being there. I see a comment from Haley, and it's asking, how do you stay present? I'm not sure exactly, like, do we mean like with the child during the 3.5 years that I was doing that, or just how to stay present in the moment? If you want to give me a little clarity, I'll actually explain both. But because my case was so drug on, my situation was a little different because the mother was actually like in the military. So every time she would leave, she kind of had the dibs to say, hey, I want my child to spend time with so-and-so. And I'm just like hello, I'm her dad. Like, what doesn't the court understand about this? I'm not unfit. I have a room for her. I have her own place. Like, I have everything set up. I'm not understanding. So I would always look for my daughter. I would always try to find time to look for her. There were times when I went to her daycare. And I was basically at that point living at her daycare. I'd bring her food. I'd bring her fruits, vegetables. We used to always read books. I would literally bring her books, and the daycare people kind of just look at me like, oh, okay, yeah. I got to ask them, and they were like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, you guys can go like to this room. And I would hang out with her as much as I could. I would look for her in school. I'd take lunch to her, have lunch with her. She was in a school where they did like chapel on the week on Fridays. So I'd show up, and you know, I'm there, or any kind of events I can always show up at. I see. Okay, I'm looking at the comment now. In the challenging situation for me, really, a lot of reading, a lot of YouTube. And when I'm looking at YouTube, I'm looking at stuff like stoicism, co-parenting, how to really just change your mindset, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that you have control over, and you have to make sure you have control over. If you don't have control over your mindset and you let the other person get to you and do whatever they want to do, they're going to manipulate it, and it's because you're letting them have whatever it is that you got to be strong-willed. So really, it's just, you, like I said, you got to try to take care of your body. I know it's going to be hard. You got to try to take care of your mind, and whatever fruits that you bring into yourself is what you're going to put out. So if you're reading like stuff that's just educational and it's healthy and it's trying to find a solution versus pointing a finger, you know, that's what you're going to put out. So definitely, I also took a co-parenting class. So if you guys get it, like, I don't know what area everyone's from, but in Orlando, in Maitland, there actually is a co-parenting seminar. I'm not sure if she's still having them right now because of the whole COVID. But she is in Maitland. I forget her name right now, but I'm pretty sure if you put something about co-parenting, you'll find something. I offered to, bring the other party with me, and if they didn't want to come at the same day, totally fine. I'll even pay it, because at the end of the day, we're probably going to spend less on this co-parenting seminar than we're going to pay on attorneys. And I offer that so many times. Granted, they were reluctant to give it a shot, but I took it, and I actually got a lot out of it. And just always think in your head, sometimes you need two people to fight. And if there's not two people to fight, it's just like, nah,
oh my gosh,
get away from it, and really just try to reinvent yourself, but also reinvent yourself. Invest yourself for your children, because at the end of the day, you got to think big picture. You got to think 10 minutes from now, 10 months from now, 10 years from now, 20, 30 years from now. What is the big picture? What is it, the big picture? And honestly, I'll be honest. I don't know if anybody can notice it, but I've been in the military, and I've had the opportunity to serve this great country. But I've seen a lot, and life is super duper duper short. It's very short. And God forbid, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but God forbid, especially more so in the eyes of the child, that something happened to that other parent. Maybe they are this or they're like that, but at the end of the day, they're still the other child's parent, and I hope, you guys can, and I hope everybody can find a way to just, be somewhat amicable in reality, because that at the end of the day is going to go a long ways. And just to fast forward a little bit, like I was telling everybody, my case started in the middle of 2015, ended at the end of 2018, and it was arduous, and it was very nasty. But you know what? I just put all my faith in God, and I said, hey, I'm here for a reason. My daughter's here for a reason. The fact that we're both still fighting, we're still going. The fact that everything is the way it's happening, and you know what? Just the best thing I can tell you is definitely educate yourself. I took Wendy's class. It was phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to, push you guys to buy it. But honestly, I told you, I was on my third attorney, because the first one, he didn't know my case. He didn't know how to argue it. So I thought, I was under the impression, I need a father's right attorney. So then I'm looking for a father's rights attorney. Well, guess what? When you Google father's rights attorney, you're going to spend the money of what a father's rights attorney really costs.
Got it.
There's no father's rights. There's no such thing. It's the statute. The statute is the statute. There's nothing for fathers or for mothers or for anyone. It's the statute, and these are your best interest, and boom, 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 boom. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I paid the father's right attorney his fee, and I paid it a couple times, and I'm thinking, well, what's next? Like, you have to look at the big picture. When you're doing these kind of things, you can't rely on emotion, because if you start relying on emotion, and one of the biggest emotions is fear, unfortunately, when you're not educated, you have a lot of fear. So I just saw that right now. Tenacious Warrior. Yep. Educate yourself. But it's definitely fear. And when you don't know the process, when you don't know how things happen, you just start thinking, okay, I need 3,500. I need it by tomorrow. Or else my case is like blah, and they're gonna withdraw my case. And that's not good for you either, because then, hey, I'll be honest, I've done some weird stuff just to get a couple of dollars, and I've done it sweating, and I've done it, as soon as I get it, hey, I'm going straight to the attorney's office, and yeah, nothing illegal, but I've done stuff like I'm selling tamales, and I'm walking downtown Orlando with this big old lunchbox, and people are just kind of looking at me like, I don't know if I want to buy off that guy. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, he's all sweaty, and it's Orlando, it's hot, it's humid, and it's just like I'm giving them a card with my little girl's face, and I'm telling them a story, and I guess they feel sorry for me, so they're like, okay, here's some money, dude. I don't need your food, but here's money. I'm like, all right, well, but
I had no idea about that. Yeah.
Oh, I've trust me, I've done everything from. I've done stuff that I didn't even know how to do, and I'm saying, yeah, I can do it, I'll do it, and I'm going home YouTubing it, trying to figure out, all right, I'll be there, and then I get there, and I'm like, oh, I got it, I can do it, I'm learning. And that's another thing, guys, women and men, whoever's on the air, is always learn, always learn. Don't be closed-minded. Always try to absorb as much as you can, and even if you're learning something that you feel that you might not, it might not have value, always learn. One of the things that I picked up is when I have my daughter, when she wasn't with me, I'd go to the law school, for example. I would research and read. Don't get so wound up on that, because in all honesty, the Florida statutes are like loopholes and mazes, and it's insane. But honestly, with Wendy's course, it concised everything. It really, in reality, it did. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to think. It was like the first time I showed up to court. You kind of just show up. They're speaking English, but some of the times you don't even understand what they're saying. It's legalese. And I didn't even know what that term was until studying it and talking to people. It's just like, whoa, this is crazy. What are they even saying? They're using all these like fancy words, and it sounds pretty cool, but then you're like, oh no, that's not good for me. Like, no. Like, object, attorney, object. Just learn the process, because if you can have yourself and have all your ducks in a row, I'm the kind of person that likes to work ahead, if you can work ahead and have everything by the time you get to where you need to be, and you've done your education, you've done your due diligence, you know, if you follow the steps that Wendy's has laid out, it's there. And what I did with my third attorney, I did exactly that. So when I got there, boom, this is my 5-inch binder. This is 1 out of 3. Here are the other 3. These are the statutes that we're looking at. This is the evidence behind it. This is that. I know we're looking also at the monetary, the financial. So boom, 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 boom. This is everything that I've given the other party as far as what's included in the child support statute. You know, so when you have all that, you just lay it out and boom, you get it in front of the judge. And as long as you have a competent attorney that can represent you and fight for you and lay out the case and show the actual facts, don't give in to all that other crazy stuff, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to hear in court. You're like, what? Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, check this out. And that's how it was in my case, especially. They would say something, oh, he's never given any penny, or he's never paid child support, or he's only paid when he wants to pay. Attorney, right here. And I was literally next to her like, hey, boom, right here. And it was honestly because of a lot of the information that you gave me, Wendy.
That's awesome.
You know, you put me in the right direction, where to look, and as you gave me the tools. All you have to do, guys, is you got to pick them up. You got to use them. That's really it. Yes.
Let me ask you this, Jose. So, so not everybody has an attorney, and okay. you know, so what do you feel like is possible for them with the tools that are available? Not just me, but just in general. What is there? I mean, do people need an attorney to do this?
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you folks. The answer could be yes. The answer could be no. And it depends. I strongly feel in my case and in my situation, if I would have went in there without an attorney, in my situation, the other party was represented by an attorney, I would have gotten destroyed, because the other attorney was a very skillful attorney. They've been doing it for 25 years, and that's all they do is family law. Mm-hmm. My attorney that I brought in there was very tenacious, and I'll give her props. She was a beast. She really was. Miss Tanya White, if you're out there, Miss Tanya White, she's out of Winter Park, but she was a beast. And in all honesty, she was licensed for 2 years, and she went against a Goliath. And I'm not going to say the other party's name, but she went against a Goliath. And it just depends. I mean, in all actuality, if it was me as just a normal person, I don't know the law, I don't know how everything works, I'd recommend having an attorney. But also I'd recommend having the knowledge, because when you have that knowledge, when you know what you got to present your attorney's not going to know the case the way you will.
Right.
They know the law, and if you give them what they need, they can interpret it and say what they need to say to the judge. But you're going to know the case the way you know it. If you know the statutes for your state, and you know what to look for, and you can pinpoint that evidence, you've done a lot of your job. And honestly, to be totally honest, the course has saved me a ton of money. And I don't remember how much I paid for it when I signed up for it, but I know when I paid for it, I was like, ooh, I can't believe I'm doing this. You know, I'm like, I see her on YouTube. I hope she's legit. I hope she's real. I was skeptical. I'll be honest. I really was. I was like, whoa, like, I'm like, but I'm thinking, I said, you know what, maybe I'm taking a leap of faith in honesty. But when I started, when I really started like learning as much as I learned, and not only did it stop there, you know, I was that lonely guy in the back of the courtroom. Who is this guy? Like, just sitting there, because I'm learning, because I'm there to observe. And I'm there to observe, and I'm just learning as much as I can. I'm at the courthouse looking at the dockets. Nobody else is doing that, you know, but I'm looking at the dockets because I'm just curious. How does this system work? I'm going from courtroom to courtroom, from judge to judge to judge. I mean, I can name them also all too. I know what school they graduated from. I've sat in front of them, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. Like that, you know, but in a way, I kind of got fascinated, in a sense. But the way I looked at it is, I spent X dollar. I don't remember the exact amount now, but even then, so the hours that I would have spent on an attorney doing that work versus me taking the initiative and actually pushing it forward and saying, here, all you got to do is argue my case. This is easy for you now. You just take out what you don't need. And that's exactly what we did when we got together before our trial. X amount of time beforehand, definitely do everything with time, because if you don't have your evidence in when it's supposed to be in it, and Wendy says that in her videos, and she says that in her webinar, trust me.
That's right.
But definitely, you know, give yourself enough time, but you gotta do all your preparations ahead of time. You never want to be at the end, you know, you never want to be on the defensive. You want to be on the offensive, going forward, and then moving around, but you never want to be in a position where you're just reacting.
Agree.
You don't want that.
So let me comment on a couple of things that I'm that are coming across from you. One is, you guys, that I'm hearing from Jose is like he has taken a huge amount of personal responsibility, and he's not putting it off on anybody else. You know, responsibility for his case, for his relationship with his child, you know, even for the state of the relationship with his ex. He's not blaming, he's taking responsibility. And he's doing whatever he can, you know, so he can create the case, create the life, create the relationship with his daughter that he wants. That's number one. And the other thing that I really like that you said was, well, a couple of things, about being curious, about being interested, you know, and being creative. And that's, you know, I've mentioned it before. In my first year of law school, they used to give us cases to read. And so we'd have to read the cases, then we'd go into our classes, and the professor would call on somebody and they'd start like grilling you about this case, and they'd give you different scenarios which were slightly different than the cases. And really what the professors were trying to do was trying to get you to distinguish a certain scenario that they created from the case. And my criminal law professor, his name was Professor Blakey, and I think he might be retired from Notre Dame now, but he authored like the anti-racketeering statutes. He was a big name. But one of the things that he said to us and to me when we were first year law students was that if you are not, you know, if you can't distinguish your case from the law, then you're not thinking creatively enough. There's always a way to distinguish. So, you know, what Jose is saying and what I want you guys to know is that you do have to be creative, not just with your cases and your evidence and your interpretation with the law, but also, you know, Jose talks about, you know, he was figuring out ways to get money, you know, and, you know, I understand not everybody wants a lawyer. Not everybody will have a lawyer, but a lot of people I know on this live stream or who will watch this video will find themselves in a situation where maybe they can't eat. They don't have enough to buy groceries. And that's hard. I've never had to go through that. I can't imagine what it would be like. But I would imagine in a situation like that, Jose, what you did to feed yourself and your family was you probably got creative and did something like you said. Is that right?
Definitely got creative, and don't be afraid. Before this whole case, it's changed me. It's really changed me. And honestly, before I didn't. When I was going through it, I was just like, I kind of in the beginning, it was like, wow, why me? But then I kind of shifted my mentality. It was more of a paradigm, thinking, well, why not me? If anything, this is happening for a reason. Now, if anything, I didn't like it more so for my daughter, because my daughter was really getting the brunt end of the stick. You know, she didn't have a parent that could be there for her. The other parent was gone. They were out of the country. And that's what really kind of that just triggered me. And I said, you know what? I could sit here, I could gripe, I could be upset at the whole situation. But I'm gonna definitely figure out a way. Just try to put yourself in a position where you guys can always learn, and don't be afraid of either the rejection from something else, and it's always good to learn. It's always good to learn, because that's what's going to help you get through these tough times, in all honesty. So just keep on. Yes.
So did you have setbacks in your case? Like, did you sometimes take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back? Did you ever feel that?
Yes, I did. And yes, I did. I almost felt like a hamster on a wheel a lot of the times. And the reason for it is because the other party was in the military. So a lot of the times they were able to pull that card. Hey, I'm leaving. I can't go to a hearing. And they would just postpone it, and that was it. And then nothing. I can't do anything. It would delay everything. So then they'd come back, And I'm like, okay, well, we're ready to push this thing. Let's do something, guys. Come on, attorneys. And it was always something. It was like, okay, well, now we need this. Now we need that. Now there's this documentation according to civil rules of procedure. This has to still get done. This gets to get done. The other party hasn't answered, hasn't replied. Oh, it's just like not going forward. I'm calling my attorney left and right. Come on, what's going on? And obviously they're billing me for it. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. A phone call, nothing yet. Okay, that's $40. Another phone call, $40. Well, damn. Let me write my long email, and I'll cover 1 question, 2 questions, 3 questions. $80. Oh, I got a reply. Oh, $80 again. And it's like after a while, cha-ching, I started thinking like, hey, the big picture is I got to get a little bit more savvy with everything, and that's what kind of prompted me to really sit down and analyze, what is the big picture? What is the big picture? What is it that I want for my daughter? And even if we get through this thing, you also got to think, where do you want to be financially? That's very important, because I mean that's a tool. And I strongly believe, even with my daughter today, like I teach her about finances. I teach her about, she's 6 years old, and she'll tell you what an asset, a liability is, and she'll talk about interest. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's always important. And I'm telling everybody, you all have to take care of your health. You got to take care of yourselves. You got to try to take care of your mind, because it's very important. And also take care of your finances, because at the end of the day, once this whole court case is over, guess what? Whether it's a 3-year case, a 2-year case, I hope you guys can close it and resolve. I hope you guys can resolve it without going to court. In all honesty, I hope if you needed a tool, I don't know if anybody knows this, but you can actually do collaborative law. Mm-hmm. And I know that because I went to a law school, which was like 30 minutes down the road. And they had actually professors, which are lawyers and judges, when they're not professors in the school. But they were willing to take my case for free. And that process cost $10,000 is what I got quoted by the attorney if she was to do it in private practice. And it covers X amount of sessions, and they work with like a person that can handle the emotional side. Because at the end of the day, you're looking to close. That's your end goal, is to close. And obviously, you might not be the most happy with the decision. They might not be the most happy. You might not get everything you want. But as long as you guys can come to some kind of agreement where, hey, this is squashed, this is over, everybody can just move forward from that. And that's the biggest thing. If you can find a way to resolve it without, court intervention, but if all means, well, then go for it. I mean, if you guys can stipulate, even better. If you guys need to go collaborative, even better. If you guys can co-parent it, go to some courses. I mean, that's the best, because the court system, unfortunately, is very adversarial.
It is. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's adversarial. And if you're going to get in the ring, you just got to be prepared. You got to know how to fight, and you got to just know what you're going for. When we went in, we weren't asking for anything crazy. We weren't out here trying to slander the other party. I mean, at the end of the day, we know what our focus is. You got to be focused. You got to know what your target is, and just go in there and just fight the case that you're looking to fight.
So what about, talk to us for a minute about picking your battles. Can you go ahead?
So a lot of the time, and more so before than now, I think the situation has gotten a little bit regressed now, which I'm thankful for. But before, I would get all the nasty text messages, the slam doors in my face, the middle fingers, the nasty words. And I kind of just looked at it. Inside it boils you. As a person, it boils you. But at the end of the day, you just got to keep thinking, like, you know what? There's 7 billion people in the world. Why am I going to let this person ruin me? And if anything, I'm going to be better than this. And that was my choice that I make. You have to make that choice. You have to make a choice to try to make yourself better. So when they're giving you that, you just be better than it. Just set your bar standard. Just set your standards higher.
What's the reward? What, in your mind, what's the reward for doing that?
To me,
yeah.
Honestly, it felt like if I didn't answer back, and if I wasn't getting on that level, I'm in charge. That's what it felt. I have the control. Yeah. I don't have to go back and forth. I'm the one who's in control. I'm the one who's in charge, and I'm gonna still walk away, have a blessed day with my dignity. Just have a blessed day. and just kill them with kindness, honestly. That kind of triggered my mindset to just be really nice. And honestly, when they come at you with all that, well, here's a birthday card. You know, we made it with so and so. You know, and here you go. You have yourself a blessed day. Take care. And
That's awesome.
You got to look at the big picture, because at the end of the day, I mean, there has to be two people to fight, and it's just really not. Some things are not really worth fighting. So you got to pick and choose your battles. There's some things that I'll fight for, but my fight is not calling the other parent or texting them nasty or this. It's, hi, good afternoon, so-and-so. Just wanted to ask you in regards to this. I see that you made this decision, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then just kind of state my outline. And if it's worth fighting and taking it to court and submitting a motion, I mean, go for it. But you also got to realize, you know, what is your big picture? You know, is it necessary? You just gotta, you know, you just gotta figure out, okay, well, what is the big picture, and always focus on that big picture.
So what did you, at the end of this 3.5-year battle, what did it look like when you finally got your final judgment? What kind of time did you get with your daughter? And was it the result that you wanted? Do you feel like it was worth the investment? Can you talk a little bit about the result?
Okay, so as far as everything was said and done, 3.5 years later, I went from being, you know, every other weekend alternating with a few hours during the week in between, to getting 50-50. My fight was for time. Really, all my fight was for the time. I value the time. That's one thing that I really extremely value. My fight was mostly for time. The other party, it was complete time. Actually, they wanted to take even more time than what I already had. So they wanted to take my less than 1-2 weekends a week or every month, and then a couple hours. They wanted to diminish that still. They wanted a lot of money. I think they wanted, I did the math, because they asked for certain things. They asked for me to pay their health care. They asked for half of daycare. They had a bunch of other things built in. They wanted child support for now. They wanted back support. When we did the calculation, it was going to be like $2,200 just for what they wanted right now every single month.
Oh,
and then
God.
On top of that, they still wanted a rearage because I've never paid anything accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, always keep documentation. Seriously, always keep documentation, especially if it's anything financially related. You know, I'm all about working together. Don't get me wrong, and I'm all about, you know, if my baby girl needs it, they need it, and if something happens to the other side, that, you know, the other parent, and they need it because it's an emergency situation, whatever the case may be. You know, maybe something happened, maybe the car broke down. Okay, here, I got you. You know, it's fine. Here's groceries. It's cool. Like, don't worry about it. Here's gas money. I don't care. But you know what I mean? If you're gonna slander me and say, hey, you've never paid, you're worthless, you're a deadbeat. And seriously, like, what I did, guys, is I went straight to my bank. I went to the head person. She specifically wrote me a note, a letter, formal letter from my bank, every transaction that was made from that party, from me to them. So I mean, you just got to go in there with everything. And then honestly, what I did to make it easier for the judge, because it was a lot of documentation, it was a lot of money. Everything has to be documented, but it was a lot of money. So I had that, but then I broke it down into an Excel spreadsheet. So then when they started grilling me with, oh, well, what's the exact amount? Well, here's the exact amount. What year are we looking for? Are we looking for total, cumulative, or well, what are we looking for, guys? So and do that for yourselves, because it's going to get easy. Do that for the insurance, the health insurance. It was crazy, but really the party was claiming that they wanted health insurance, they wanted daycare, they wanted me to buy their health insurance for the other parent also too. Don't ask. They wanted a life insurance policy, naming them as the irrevocable beneficiary. So if I passed, I'm paying for this insurance policy for them to collect on me, like being dead. I'm like, man, I'm worth more dead now at this point than alive. In reality. But I mean, they wanted a lot. And if I was to show you the list, we would still keep going. Like, they wanted me to have less time with the child and just control. That's really what they wanted, was just control. All my argument really was just, I didn't even present it as equal timeshare, but I said, hey, these are the days that we're looking for. You know, and this is what we're looking for, and that's really it. We'll pay whatever we have to pay. We'll do that, because that's part of the guidelines. That is what it is. But lo and behold, I really thought I was going to get crucified. I don't know if everybody can see me, but I really thought I was going to get crucified, you know, on a cross. Because honestly, that's the perception. And trust me, I'm not against women in any way, shape, or form. Thank y'all, because y'all bear the children, and even the woman that I have a child with, I have a lot of respect for her in the sense that if it wasn't for her, my daughter wouldn't be who she is, and I love my daughter unconditionally for exactly who she is.
Oh,
I
that's
wouldn't
awesome.
change anything about her. So anything. And if that's where she came from, that's where she came from. It is what it is, you know. And I love my little girl. I love her to death. But really, at the end of the day, the judge saw through a lot of it because I had evidence. You gotta
Yep.
have your evidence. You gotta have your evidence. You gotta have your evidence. Don't go in there without evidence. You going
Yep.
in there without evidence. You going in there without emotion that you're going to fight on. And I kind of learned that the hard way too throughout my case. But you going in there without that, it's like you're going out there without, you're going to war without a weapon. So you got to have your evidence. It's not, you don't, the other party might do the he said, she said. Well, you back it up with actual fact and the real deal.
There you go.
So really at the end of it all, I got everything I asked for. I got for 50-50, and I got even more. I got, you know, the holidays, and, you know, we wanted something to be fair, and the judge kept it fair. He kept it equal. The other party wanted a ton of money. I had to pay an arrearage. It wasn't anything super duper crazy. The other party had to pay a very minuscule amount of child support after. Trust me when I say it's very minuscule, but they are very upset about having to pay it. But I mean, it is what it is. And in all honesty, I'll be honest with you guys, you know, a lot of people use the child support to try to take some kind of revenge or spite. I know everybody's situation might be, you know, financially different, but one of the things that I've also learned along this journey is I do a lot of YouTube. I'm an avid YouTube guy. I'll admit that's how I found you, Wendy. But if you guys can get on some Dave Ramsey, and I say this because trust me, I've been there. I'm eating canned goods. I'm going to the food pantry. I'm looking for food. Hey, they got free food at this church. I'm there. You know, you got to be humble to say, you know what, maybe yesterday I was in this position, I was doing that, but maybe today, hey, you know what, I just want to put food in my plate, and I'm going to give the best to my baby girl when I have her this weekend. But, you know, I'm going to do what I got to do, you know, throughout the week. And that was me. That was me. When I had my baby girl, I'm getting her Chick-fil-A. Like, come on now. And when she's gone, it's like, all right, I'm going back to eating beans out of the can. But, you know, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices. But yeah, the Dave Ramsey, the Clark Howard, you know, you just got to watch how you're spending your money, and you got to look at the big thing, you know, where you're spending interest, what can you lower down on? You know, there's a lot of things now I don't even buy, because at the end of the day, it's just like, oh, I remember not having it, but at the end of the day, it's just like I didn't need it to begin with. And the most important things, like I said, for me is the time, and is the ability to have with my baby girl, and just watching her grow up, and always just try to remember that, you know, there is a big picture. I would recommend anybody go to court. If it's not your court case, of course, go to court. Go to the court, watch the judges, see how their demeanors are, see how they act, see how they take, you know, certain things, see how they follow procedure. Especially if you're not represented by an attorney. If you are not represented by an attorney, you got to work so much harder. You got to work so much harder, because you got to try to, I mean, they're judges for the most part, even if you're pro se, they have an expectation of how these cases need to be working, because they have to be in accordance to the law.
Right.
And most of these are the law of civil procedures, because these are not criminal in nature. These are all civil cases. So just know your procedures as much as you can. Granted, they're going to understand that you're not an attorney, but if you go in there, try and act so-and-so and yada, yada, no. They're probably going to kick it out. And, you know, just be respectful, because obviously that's the method that you choose, if you're choosing that route. But really, for me, yeah, at the end of 3.5 years, we got exactly what we were asking for. And I mean, I can't say enough. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. And honestly, no lie, I've seen what these cases can cost people. And I've seen it with my very own eyes, because I'm that one person lonely in the back of the courtroom. And I'm just like, holy shit, like, I'm going to go research this case as soon as this case is done. And I'm looking at their docket. I'm like, whoa. And then I'm curiosity, right? So I call their attorney that following Monday morning. Hey, how you doing, guys? Research. Hey, by the way, everybody, research your attorney, and not just inside the courtroom, because sometimes they talk a good game, but actually see if they're really about it when they're in there. Are they really fighting for their client? Are they really, how articulate are they? How are they with the judge? But that's one of the things that I did. I probably researched a good 30 attorneys in this area.
Wow.
And really, I figured, you know what? In all honesty, the attorney's going to do their job, right? And I'm going to present as much as I can. But I mean, I had to make that investment. I had to make the investment and learn as much as I could. And that's one of the reasons why I took your course. And when I went in there, with I was in the Marines. So if anybody hasn't kind of heard my jargon yet, I'm going in there with artillery. I'm going in there with air. I'm going in there with ground troops, infantry. I'm going in hard. I'm going in hard because we're gonna fight. If it comes down to it, if it happens, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna try to avoid the fight at all costs. If you guys ever get a chance, objection cheat sheet, yes, objection cheat. I just used that like a month ago, no lie, and I was like, oh, yes, I had to, unfortunately, but it was a short case that got dismissed. The other party was throwing all this weirdness at me again. But anyway.
That's awesome.
Dust it off. But we good. But the objection cheat sheet works wonders, trust me. But no, awesome. The Art of War, if anybody hasn't read that by Sun Tzu, it's an amazing book. It's a psychology battle, I'm telling you. So, I mean, really, that's the biggest thing. We got exactly what we're looking for. My goal, honestly, is really not even to be in court. I don't think there's a reason to be in court. I'm going to try. I always try to avoid it at all costs. And if it's the last resort, and it should be the last resort. I hope that everybody that's listening to this can find a way to just communicate, not for the kids, just do it for the kids and do it for your own well-being, because it feels good. And honestly, my situation has gotten so much better. It feels good sometimes when, the other parent can ask, hey, you mind if I take so-and-so a few hours? This is the situation. Yeah, good. By all means, cool. And sometimes when I ask too, I get the turnaround. It happens so-and-so, but things can get better, and it doesn't always have to be in that crazy situation. And in honesty too, in my case, it was me against everybody on their side of the family. I just turned into a bad guy all of a sudden because, I decided to take a paternity action in the court system because I couldn't think of any other measure at the time to put me legally in the life of my daughter. And granted, I didn't know that much at the time. But, like I said, yes, The Art of War. The Business of Co-Parenting. Somebody asked me about the book. It's The Business of Co-Parenting by Grayson. Her last name is Grayson, Attorney Grayson, Esquire. She's out of Los Angeles. She's in California. Marissa E. Grayson. There you go. And she has a YouTube channel. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sorry,
okay.
Everywhere.
That's okay. No, I like everybody is loving what you have to say. We have a good crowd, and we're getting all kinds of good feedback. I think that people really need what you have to say because it's one thing for me to get up and say, and you do this, you do that, and you increase your chances of success. It's another thing to hear from somebody that's real, somebody like you who's actually done it, and to encourage and motivate people, and to talk to people about, those times when they're feeling down, those times when they're out of money, those times when they lose a battle, those times when they're not getting to see their child, because, that's what everybody's going through. So it's really good to help, for people to hear that. I got a question just the other day from somebody who finished their case, which is awesome, and they got a good result. They're happy with the result, but things aren't perfect like they thought they would be after the order, after the judgment. So, so you get a court order, you get a court judgment, and everybody should know what's expected of them. Is it always perfect? What's your experience been post-judgment, post-order?
Really good question. So the court order, don't expect it to be perfect, and don't expect the other party to always comply to it or even comply to it to begin with. That was my situation, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, you gotta pick and choose your battles. You gotta try to figure out, okay, well, what's the argument here, and what is it that the other party is trying to stir? There were some times where the other party is like, hey, no, this is my holiday. All of a sudden, it's like, no, look, we just got this. Like, come on. If you have to enforce it in a very nice professional way as best as you can, definitely let them know and let them know in writing. For us, one of the things that the judge, the business of co-parenting, Marissa Grayson, yes, tenacious warrior. The biggest thing is that you got to let the other party know in a very professional way, you know, where you stand and what you're willing to do. You know, just because you, I'm not saying don't you know, you want to be nice, but at the end of the day, you don't want to just the other person to just do whatever they still want, because that's the whole point of everything, you know. And obviously now that if you have a court order, well, guess what? It can be enforced, and that's really the whole point of it. And obviously try to keep it fair. You know, what I always do is I listen. I listen, and I try to take in as much information, and I just kind of omit all the negative and the nasty words, and, you know, because I get the accusatory remarks and comments. I'm like, okay, I'm just listening to the facts. All right. So basically what you're telling me is because of this situation, you want to pick up, you know, our daughter a day earlier. Does this work for you? And I'll counter it. Well, you know, and I'll try to figure out how made it work, makes it work. So always have the mentality of a solution, because lame people blame people, but you always want to have a solution to try to find it, because realistically, if not, you guys are just going to bump heads. So really, right. That's one of the things that's helped me, Wendy, is I'm just focused on solutions and results. Yeah. So that helps me, and I look at the big picture. I just look at, I'm not going to be angry. They want an extra day. I'll figure it out, you know. And it depends up to what extreme, because obviously there's some things I look at it and I'll just say, okay, well, no, like, and this is the reason why. And I let them know very kindly, you know, via email, because you always want to have as much documentation as you can. Why? And not just because I'm trying to be a butt. Like, there's a reason why, and this is the reason why. And it's not that I'm taking, and try not to make it personal, people, because I know sometimes the emotions can get in. Don't take your emotion out. And sometimes, honestly, as weird as it sounds, I kind of almost see myself as a third party, and I'm like kind of just looking at the situation. I guess that's one of the things that helps me. It's just to assess it from outside looking in, and then from inside looking out. So that's one of the things, because the court order will never be perfect. And another thing to consider, it's impossible. It's impossible, because even then, so a judge is not going to know your family the way you know your family. And I'm going to say your family, because at the end of the day, guess what? The child is a part of the family. So whether it's with the mommy or it's with the daddy, maybe it's not a traditional nuclear family, but guess what? It's a beautiful blended family. That's still, because at the end of the day, there are some kids that their mom ghost, their dad ghost, you know, and you just got to look at it. You got to just be thankful that even though you guys are not getting along, as long as they're not like, you know, really like schizophrenic or crazy, or, you know, they're trying to do some crazy stuff, you know, catch your house on fire or something, as long as it's not like that, you know, and if there's a way to just put that underneath y'all and let it be water under a bridge, you know, that's the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, that child's life is number one. So
that's like perfect to end on, Jose. And you know, but I'm going to give you one last shot. Like, do you have any parting words? And we're about at the hour, and I think this has been awesome, because, like, I mean, people needed to hear your message. And I know that, you know, you guys, I want to brag on Jose a little bit. Okay, so now he is studying for the LSAT, which is the law school entrance or admission test, right? And he's going to take that in April. So he wants to go on and go to law school. He just got his real estate license last week. You know, he's working, he's raising his daughter. He has another baby girl on the way. I mean, this guy, he's like Superman. He's doing it all. But, you know, I think that the way he does it probably is he's feeding his mind, his body, and his spirit. But I couldn't be prouder of you, Jose. I mean, I just want to say that. And I also want to say, I mean, I'm so happy that you chose me and that you allowed me to guide you a little bit and be your Gandalf during this process.
My attorney owes you big time. Seriously, when I got to her office, she was like, what? She's like, I never had a client like this. I'm like, Wendy Hernandez, come in the courtroom. And she's like, I'm going to look at her. I'm going to look into her.
Oh, yeah. My God. Well, that's awesome. Well, I want to know. So last words, yes. Parting words of advice for the people out there who need to hear this, because I know a lot of people are struggling. They're either doing their cases on their own, or they're experiencing setbacks, or they're just trying to put food on the table. What do you have to say?
Okay, wow, it's so much to sum up, because honestly, this is 3 years, and it's arduous. And I to everyone that's going through it, try to look at the big picture. Try to always focus on the end, because when you focus on the end, you're able to kind of reverse engineer it and picture how you need picture your everybody needs to just think in their head, hey, I got to be my own superhero in this story, and this is my battle, and this is my reason why. You got to find your reason why. Once you find your reason why, and you know exactly why it is that you want, you're going to find a way to do it. And you just kind of got to assess everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes throughout the day. And sometimes we're unconscious of what we do sometimes. And you just got to figure out, okay, how does this benefit me and why? Does it add value? And you always got to find something that's going to add some kind of value to yourself, to your family, to your children, to your case, to anything that you can. And that was always my mentality is how can I add value today? What do I have to do when I wake up this morning? How can I plan my next day? How can I plan my next week? What things can I do? Give yourself time also too for yourself, because that's going to be very important. These situations can be very stressful. Find definitely an outlet group, but careful sometimes who you pick. I sometimes talk to my family, some members, not all of them, but I could see that these aren't the most supportive. These are making my situation a little bit worse. And I was just like, you know what? I got to shift my mind. So really, it's just figure out where you want to be, and always keep your mind as open as possible. One of the things that helped me, and I'm gonna send another thank you, basically, is I had no money for a substantial amount of time. Once we started going with the process, my situation was, we're litigating hard and then we stop, and then we're back hard again, and then they leave again, and it's like, okay, and it's dead, and then it's like, oh, we're back at it again. And I started kind of catching the pattern. So I'm like, okay, let me guess, when they're here, nothing, okay, I'll spend money, and then when they leave, try to save up money to spend money. But then I started thinking, like, wait, there's got to be a better way. Really, I mean, just be very thoughtful with how you guys spend. Be very thoughtful, and try to look forward at the big picture. That's really the biggest thing. When you can prepare for things, and that's the reason why I went with your course, because that helped me hardcore to prepare. And it probably, in the end, it honestly saved me thousands. It saved me thousands, because a lot of the work was already done. I just needed them to present a good case. Seriously, like I don't even know how to even qualify that. But I looked at it and I said, well, how can this add value? Another thing, parents, if you have the opportunity, every moment that I don't know what your schedules are like right now, but any moment that you can get, just make it as positive as possible. Because you got to imagine, let's say in your situation, you're the parent that got the least amount of time. And I know that, and still a little bit to this day, when my child goes to the other house, it's a little bit different. And it used to be worse before, I'll be honest. When she'd come with me, she would see me and be terrified. I'm like, what? She's never like this. And she would act out, emotions that that kind of transpired on her from her environment. But then she's with me, and then boom, like everything's, forgetful. But always just try to build as many happy memories. And I know it sucks, especially when you have the limited amount of time. It sucks. But just try to make it as positive as possible, and just remember that is not going to be the permanent situation. And you always got to have that hope. If you give up that hope, you lost your fight. But if you keep on thinking, hey, we're going to make this through, and this is how, and this is what we're going to do, and this is the steps that we're going to do, and execute them. Because so many times people, you know, don't execute. You know, you don't have, your stuff doesn't have to per se be perfect. It doesn't. When I went in there to my attorney's office, I mean, I say I had a 5-inch binder, I had 3 of them, but a lot of them had a bunch of stuff that's like, we're not going to use, it's fine. But I did all my due diligence then. But just do as much as you can in that aspect. Have as much stuff organized as you can. For your children. What I did is, when I had no money, is I found a league where I could coach her soccer, her t-ball, her track, and they gave me her everything free. They gave me the uniform free. Her tuition was free. Every time I went somewhere, I would always negotiate it. If there's a way to negotiate it, whether even if it's me doing the labor, or tell me what you guys need. I just want to create an opportunity for my daughter, you know, and that's it. That's all I want, is I just want to put a smile on her face. That's all I wanted. Honestly, that's all I wanted. So you guys got to just think about that. Just think about that. And, you know, I've been rock bottom. Trust me, I've been rock bottom. I've been at my worst situation. But you just got to remember that when you have your child, you know, just always look for the positive. Always keep fighting, and always look for something that you can leave them with. Because at the end of the day, they might not remember toys. They might not remember material. They're going to remember memories. They're going to remember you being there. So at the end of the day, you know, just always definitely just give it everything you have. Leave all your emotion there. I mean, if God was to take one of us today or tomorrow, that's the legacy. That's the memory that they're gonna have behind. So,
oh my God, that's amazing. This has been amazing, Jose. And I want to thank you so much, because I think you really delivered a lot of messages. Like, there were so many sound bites that I got out of this live stream. And I'm
a real person, guys. This is a real case.
Yeah. Yep. You guys, so you can do it. You know, if you don't take anything else out of this, you know, which I don't see how you couldn't, because you got to like watch this again, and you know, because there's so many little nuggets. But if there's nothing else that you take out of it, just know that you can do it, because Jose did it and other people are doing it. And that's why I wanted to bring him on here. He's an amazing person, such a great father. I can't wait to see what he does. I can't wait to see his book. I can't wait to see his YouTube channel, or whatever great things he goes on to do. And I know that he's going to raise an amazing daughter. He's already doing that. So, you know, people really needed to hear the message. So thank you so much, Jose. And keep me posted on your little girl. I know we'll stay in touch. I'm still in touch with Rory. Heard from him a couple weeks ago, and you know, I always love you guys. Like, you'll always have a special place in your heart, my heart. So thank you so much. And so to all of you out there, hope you love this. I loved it, and I will be back next week for sure. And I'm working on a couple guests. I have one at the beginning of November, and then we're going to have Yitz on again. I got to reach out to him. I know you all loved Yitz. And but until then, remember to, you know, roll those shirt sleeves up, hit the books, keep on trucking, get out there, and remember to command the courtroom. Good night, guys.
Good night.